Wicked for Good is the highly anticipated finale of the Broadway musical turned feature film. Does it end on a high note? Let's find out. Que lo que a mi gente del Caribe. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I appreciate your support as always. Today we're going to be talking about Wicked for Good. This is once again directed by John M. Chu, and it stars Cynthia, Erivo, and Ariana Grande. This time it's following Elphaba, who is now living in hiding after being demonized to the public as the Wicked Witch of the West, and she must reunite with Glinda as they try to bring light to the truth about the Wizard of Oz. I was really excited for this film. I wasn't expecting to like the first movie, and I ended up really loving it. I believe I gave that one a 4 out of 5. So I was really excited to see this one, especially with how the first film ended and wanting to see the conclusion of all of this. So right off the bat, this movie feels a lot darker and more emotionally grounded than the first film. So I found that to be a lot more successful in this second installment. In particular, I have to give a shout out to Ariana Grande, who her performance in the first film was something that I kind of bashed on a little bit. It didn't feel that it earned an Oscar nomination, but in this film, she is spectacular. She gives such a layered and impactful performance. I really enjoyed the dynamic that she brought to this character and how she really revealed this character to understand in a deeper way and to look further at what her motivations are, what her backstory is, and they add a lot to it. And I really was impressed with her performance in this second film, to the point that I would most certainly love for Ariana Grande to get a nomination for this installment, because she does a fantastic job, especially alongside Cynthia Erivo, who is once again amazing here. She is such an incredible actress, and I love her in this role. She has so much heart. She brings so much soul and emotion to it, and it really just helps to resonate with the story. And there's also some fun tidbits that allow you to look at the 1939 film, The Wizard of Oz, through a slightly different lens. It doesn't always work. Some of the tie-ins are really just for show, in a sense, for the sake of connecting it to that story, because it's not necessarily a sequel to that. It's its own thing. It's a separate depiction as a whole. But it does give you a different lens to appreciate the original film with, which I thought was a neat addition, a neat rendition of the story. But ultimately, the dynamic that it brings that I love so much is simply this tragic and heartbreaking tale between two friends, two unlikely friends, I suppose you could say, and how they are both projected going down very different, vastly different paths in life. And one is obviously going to be more right than the other, but you have understanding for why the other chooses their path. And so it's very evident that they were super intentional with how they wanted to write this story, how they wanted to expand upon this story, and how they wanted to deliver it for audiences. As I mentioned, there's some clever tie-ins to the original film. Not all of it works, but it's still clever and it gives you that different lens. However, in those tie-ins, it felt as though some of them were given more thought and more intentionality than others, which was disappointing, and it does lead to a lack of resolve, a lack of a conclusion for a particular character that was frustrating because nothing really comes of it. You don't really get to see the full circle of it, and it just felt shoehorned in for the sake of tying it to the original story. Still enjoyable, still fascinating, and still provides that darker element and a more emotionally grounded element, but you do notice a bit of a difference between development with some of the legacy characters that they're trying to tie back to. And I think my biggest holdup here is the villain of the film, played wonderfully by Michelle Yeoh. However, once again, it's very surface level and feels extremely tedious. There's no real motivation that this villain has for why they are causing so many disruptions and so much strife. And so it's just really unfortunate and disappointing that they didn't flesh that out more and give more of a purpose to it, because it just feels generic and it feels like something you've seen before a million times, and you saw it in the first film already. So it just feels regurgitated in that sense as it continues on with the same motivations that were pretty much non-existent. And then lastly, in terms of one more issue I had with the film, there are moments that should have felt more devastating, more emotionally heartbreaking because of a particular connection between some of the characters. However, the way that it's executed feels much more abrupt, causing it to feel unintentionally humorous. And I would have liked to see them handle that sequence a little bit differently, with a little bit more emotional power within it. And even after the fact, it just kind of gets glossed over. There's no tears shed. There's no reflecting on one's existence or, anything that this situation, what happens, should lead to. So it's very disappointing, and it therefore takes you out of the experience because you don't feel emotionally connected to it, because the main characters aren't reflecting that they're emotionally connected to it. But all that being said, I did really enjoy this musical. I loved this film. It was very good. The songs were great. I think they did a fantastic job. I liked the songs that they added. I thought that everything turned out really well. But it does have its issues, mainly within the story, that take you out of the experience just a little bit. But I appreciated a lot about it. And I mostly just really resonated with this idea of loving someone despite your differences between them. They really explore this dynamic of two great friends growing apart and having different paths in life, but still having genuine love for one another. They explore that really beautifully, and I thought that that was really touching. And nonetheless, I enjoyed it. So therefore, I'm going to give Wicked for Good a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I definitely recommend this film. If you like the first one, I think you'll like this one. You might like it more, you might like it less. I think each of these films has a different style to it in terms of thematically what they are accomplishing, but each of them has something to appreciate in their own respect. So definitely go check this movie out. Go support it in cinemas. Watch it in Dolby if you can. It's big, it's loud, it's beautiful, and it's colorful. So highly recommend it. It's a great time. It's well made. John M. Chu brings another fantastic film. He did the first one. He did In the Heights. He did Crazy Rich Asians. He has an excellent filmography that I hope is not getting overlooked. So please watch this movie. Watch other films that John M. Chu has directed. He's fantastic. And I will see you guys at the movies. God bless you. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for another review coming soon. Take care.